Hello everyone, welcome to Lukman IS. Today we are going to have the Hindu analysis of 18th October 2020. So let us see which are the important articles in today's The Hindu newspaper. So we have segregated them for mains purpose and for prelims purpose. Many important articles on Sunday's newspaper. Yes, so first article, reinventing auctions for the real world on FAQ page. Okay, so FAQ page is important for our examination. Largely all of them relates to our examination. So yes, recently we know that the Nobel Prize 2020 in economics was given to these scientists for auction theory or research in auction theory. So yes, the article is talking about what is auction theory and the application and relevance of this auction theory and their work in detail, and what is the significance of this discovery, or we can say a work. Okay, so yes, we should take input for our examination. So American economist Paul Milgram and Robert Wilson, both of whom teach at Stanford University, were awarded 2020 Economics Nobel Prize for improvements to auction theory and inventions of new auction formats. What is auction theory? Auctions are important to economists because they are most widely used and also most efficient mechanism to allocate scarce resources. Very important point. The allocation of scarce resources in turn matters to economists because there is limited supply of resources on the earth when compared to unlimited human needs, and hence they need to be allocated only to the most urgent needs of the society. In particular, auction theory deals with various ways in which auctions can be designed to improve seller revenues, increase benefits to consumer, or even achieve both of these goals at same time. Okay, how it is relevant? Because yes, auctions are carried out everywhere. Auctions for good reason have been the most common tool for thousands of years by societies to allocate the scarce resources. When potential buyers compete to purchase goods in auction, it helps sellers discover those buyers the most who value the goods the most. Further, the selling goods to the highest bidder also helps the seller maximize his or her revenues. So both buyers and sellers benefit from auctions. That's why it is relevant. Applications at local level, or simply we can say that even the retail market, or suppose there is example of supermarket. If there is a huge demand for certain product and shelves empty quickly, the supermarket manager will raise its price to prevent the shortage. If another product fails to sell as fast as expected, its price may be lowered in order to clear any unsold inventory. More sophisticated and explicit auction mechanisms are used in the allocation of capital goods such as spectrum, minerals. So we can understand from that, for example, coal blocks का कैसे competitive bidding होता है, right? Auctions होता है. At the same time, spectrum, we remember the 2G spectrum auctions, or similar kind of mechanism that is adopted by the government to allocate this scarce resource, or a very important we can say national resource. Okay. Significance: the contributions of these scientists or economists have helped governments and private companies to design their auctions better, and this has in turn helped the better allocation of scarce resources and offered more incentives to sellers to produce more complex goods. Okay. So yes, this is very important. Explain the auction theory in economics and give it significance. Kind of question we can expect in our GS3 paper economics. Fine? Okay. Jagan versus judges. Recently we have observed, or let's say followed up, the controversy that is going on between the Chief Minister of Andhra Pradesh and Andhra Pradesh High Court. The Chief Minister alleging the judges of High Court, or we can say one Supreme Court judge, that is influencing the decisions of High Court or High Court judges against the state government or ruling government in the state. Okay. So let us try to understand. He has written one letter directly to CJI about this issue, and this letter has been made public by him. So that has been also criticized. Let us try to take input from this article, that how the inquiry against these allegations will be conducted for the judges. This is what we need to understand from our examination perspective. Okay, so context: recent conflict between Andhra Pradesh High Court and Chief Minister. The Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister Y.S. Jagan Mohan Reddy has stirred a honest nest by writing Chief Justice of India complaining about Supreme Court Judge N.V. Ramanna for allegedly influencing posting of cases in state High Court and alleging that some High Court judges are hostile to his government and are deliberately striking down his regime's decision and order. Okay, so yes, how are allegations of misconduct against the judges are dealt with? This is what important for our examination. Context तो है, ठीक है, इसके डिटेल में जाने की जरूरत नहीं है. Rather, this is very important for our examination. The Constitution protects the independence of judges of High Courts and Supreme Court by making them removable only through process of impeachment. However, not all forms of misconduct warrant impeachment. Since 1997, the judges have adopted in-house procedure for inquiring into such judges. Now, what is this in-house procedure and when was it adopted? After Justice J.S. Verma took over as Chief Justice of India in 1997, he circulated judges the document called as Restatement of Values of Judicial Life. This should be used in your answer whenever we are talking about the judicial accountability, and we can say that the values that the judges should have, restatement of values of judicial life. This was set of principles containing essential elements of ideal behavior of judges. The full court passed the resolution that in-house procedure would be adopted for action against judges for acts of commission or omission that go against these values. A 5-judge committee was constituted to come up with the procedure. The report was adopted in 1999 and made public in 2014. So, how does in-house procedure work? So, this is given in detail. Okay. So, suppose the allegations are against a high court what you can say judge, or suppose the allegations are against the Chief Justice of High Court, or suppose the allegations are against a Supreme Court judge. In different let's say scenario it is talking about. When the complaint is received against High Court judge, CJI should decide if it is considered frivolous or if it is directly relating to the merits of substantive decision or judicial matter, or does it involve any serious misconduct or impropriety. If it is serious, the CJI should get the judge's response. He may close the matter if he is satisfied with the response. After considering the High Court's Chief Justice of India, the judge involved and the complainant, the CJI, if deemed necessary, forms the 3-member committee. The committee should have 2 Chief Justices of other High Courts and 1 High Court judge. The inquiry it holds is of nature of fact-finding mission and not formal judicial inquiry involving examination of witnesses. Only fact-finding mission hota hai. If the case is against the High Court Chief Justice, the same procedure is followed, but the probe committee comprises Supreme Court judge and 2 Chief Justices. If a Supreme Court judge faces such charge, the in-house panel will comprise 3 Supreme Court judges, and the in-house procedure does not give any separate provision to deal with the complaints against CJI. But in practice, the panel of 3 other Supreme Court justices is formed. Fine. So, this is the procedure. What happens after the probe is done? If the committee finds substance in the charges, it can give 2 kinds of recommendations. One, that the misconduct is serious enough to require removal from the office, or that is not serious enough to warrant removal. In the former case, the judge concerned will be urged to resign or seek voluntary retirement, and if judge is unwilling to quit, CJI or Chief Justice of High Court concerned would be asked to withdraw all judicial work from him. The President and Prime Minister will be informed of the situation. This is expected to clear the way for Parliament to begin the process of impeachment. If the misconduct does not warrant removal, the judge would be advised accordingly. Okay, so how will the CM's complaint will be handled at present? Complaint of Andhra Pradesh Chief Minister will have to be examined by CJI from the perspective of whether it can be rejected as baseless or it requires deeper investigation. Okay, so this is what is required. So explain the working of in-house procedure adopted for inquiring into charges leveled against judges of High Court and Supreme Court. So this is the explanation. Okay, तो इसका background भी आप बता सकते हो briefly and this is what is required. अगर 150 मार्क्स के लिए डायरेक्ट फैक्चुअल बेस्ड क्वेश्चन आता है तो काफ़ी अच्छे तरीके से यहाँ पे एक्सप्लेन किया गया है. फाइन, ओके. यस, now some of the important international bodies and their working is being asked in your examination, जैसे कि WTO है, UNSC रिफॉर्म्स है, और उन्होंने यूनेस्को के बारे में भी पूछा है. तो UNHRC which is in pretty much in news because of withdrawal of USA from it, and then recently there were elections to this council. So that's why again a very good article is written about what is its mission, function, important let's say criterias, and then it is talking about how it is functioning in recent times. Okay, some important cases. So we have to understand and take input for our examination. So yes, relevance of UNHRC. So United Nations Human Rights Council. So on October 13, elections were held to cohort of member nations who will serve the next 3 years in UN Human Rights Council. Among the 5 countries that were vying for the membership of Asia Pacific region, 4 members got selected: Pakistan, Uzbekistan, Nepal, China, while Saudi Arabia lost out. Okay, so UNHRC has 47 members serving at any time, with the elections held to fill seats every year based on allocation to regions across the world to ensure the balanced geographical representation. The countries are disallowed from occupying seat for more than 2 consecutive terms. Basic information for prelims examination. Despite the exclusion of Saudi Arabia, the record of some other member states such as China and Russia in council has also not lived up to aims on mission of NHRC, which has led to critics questioning its relevance. Okay, so powerful countries such as US has refused to participate in the council, with Trump administration taking country out of the council in 2018. Okay, mission, what is the mission of UNHRC, which was reconstituted from its predecessor organization UN Commission on Human Rights, is the UN body whose mission is to promote and protect human rights across the world. This is the mission. UNHRC headquartered at Geneva, Switzerland has 2 key functions. What are these functions? Council passes non-binding resolution on human rights issues through periodic review of all 193 UN member states, called Universal Periodic Review. Now this is very important. This can be even asked in your prelims examination. So Universal Periodic Review is referred generally with which of the following organization, international organization. So there can be options: UNESCO hai, UNHRC hai, and different bodies of United Nations. Besides overseeing expert investigation of violation in specific countries, these are called special provisions. The mechanism of Universal Periodic Review was incorporated into functioning to give teeth to the organization. Fine. So what are the important contemporary cases that it is dealing with? Contemporary cases in an unanimously passed resolution that was sponsored by African states. The UNHRC in June 2020 ordered report on systematic racism against people of African descent following the murder of African American George Floyd in the United States. India has not been spared from scrutiny either. UN High Commissioner for Human Rights had earlier this year expressed concern over Citizenship Amendment Act and the clampdown in Kashmir, besides intercommunal attacks in Delhi in February 2020. Problems and issues faced by we can say that UNHRC. There has always been inherent tensions between countries from the West that espouse an individualistic notion of human rights that lays emphasis on political and civic rights, and those from developing world who have laid greater emphasis on socio-economic and cultural rights, such as Cuba. Between these extremities, there are other rising powers such as Brazil and India who have committed to hold states to account for human rights issues. along with we can say socio-economic development. Conclusion, the unique arrangement of representation, review and collaboration with civil society groups has certainly improved the functioning of UNHRC in comparison with its predecessor commission, but the challenges remain high and it is the still work in progress. So this is what is expected to be written in your answer. UNHRC, relevance of UNHRC से related इस तरीके से question आ सकता है. Discuss the main issues which are questioning the relevance of UNHRC in protecting human rights. Fine? Yes. So enigma, that is COVID-19. Okay, so what the article is talking about, that the COVID-19 and its virus is very elusive and we should not be what you can say pacified, or we can say the stop taking measures against COVID-19. So what it is talking about, in July, large seroprevalence study in Mumbai reported that 57% slum residents and 16% building residents had antibodies to COVID-19. The presence of antibodies implied that these individuals had been infected. Two recent changes have put such optimism on hold. Reinfections being reported across the world, declining the seroprevalence. तो reinfections हो रहे हैं और declining seroprevalence है ये of antibodies in repeat sampling surveys done in both Mumbai and Delhi. The latter suggests the possible decay of antibodies with time. So some basics about let's say science here. The true infection is one which the viral genome in the second infection differs from that of first. The two forms of immunity defend the body from infection. What are these two forms? Antibody mediated through immunoglobulins, and second is cell mediated जिसमें T cells involved होते हैं that can induce death of virus infected cells. So antibodies could either be binding antibodies or neutralizing antibodies. Unlike antibodies induced by SARS-CoV and MERS-CoV जो 2003 और 2012 में जो है outbreaks थे, that lasted a minimum of 1 or 2 years. Studies have demonstrated the rapid waning of antibodies after infection from this SARS-CoV-2 COVID-19. It must be pointed out that reinfection still seems exceedingly rare. However, an individual who has recovered from episode of COVID-19 needs to keep up the precautions of masking, distancing, hand sanitizing unabated. So this is what it is talking about, that we should be very careful. SARS-CoV-2 virus is continuously outsmarting us, and till the time that the effective vaccine is available, the world with the virus will continue to haunt us. Fine. So this is what is required at present. We need to be very careful. Yes. IISER Pune uses smell to identify asymptomatic cases. Now this is very good development to detect the asymptomatic cases. The loss of smell, which is one of the symptoms that people infected with novel coronavirus show, can be quickly and accurately measured using novel method developed by researchers at COVID. Using custom built olfactory action meter, which determines how one can smell, the team led by Nixon Abraham from Department of Biology at IISER Pune was able to identify people infected with virus but have no typical symptoms such as fever, fatigue. Okay. So researchers were able to detect the olfactory deficit in 82% of people with asymptomatic infection. This is we can say that 82% of the patient populations had such kind of olfactory deficits. Therefore, the sensitivity of this such kind of detection is 82%, specificity was 87% and accuracy 85%. So they are talking about like using this kind of method for mass screening in future, in near future, for asymptomatic cases. Ensure speedy access to vaccine. Prime Minister Modi. Yes, Prime Minister Narendra Modi called for full preparedness to ensure speedy access to COVID-19 vaccines for every citizen. chairing the meeting of review of pandemic situation in the country. Mr. Modi directed every step in the logistic delivery administration of vaccine should be put in place rigorously, and it must include advanced planning of cold storage chain, distribution network, monitoring mechanism. All these things are there. That he is talking about advanced planning so that each and every person receives the COVID-19 vaccine whenever it is available. How global warming might affect the global security? Yes. So the article is talking about increased CO2 amounts after industrial revolution, and because of that what is happening, the melting of glaciers and sea level rise. At the same time, the rise in CO2 levels also acidified the oceans. On the land it has positive as well as negative effects, like CO2 increase leading to greenhouse gas. It traps sun's heat from atmosphere, warm the temperature, aids to photosynthesis, making them grow more, but at the same time restricts the plant's ability to absorb nitrogen, thus restricting the crop growth. So positive as well as negative. Such higher temperatures during growing season in tropics and subtropical regions like India and neighbors could be will greatly affect the crop productivity, and that this would be the norm in coming future. Okay, so that's why it is talking about there is need of further studies on how rising temperature affect legumes. Legumes, like we can say that crops like chana, chickpeas and similar kinds of grains. Okay, so yes, now that the scientists have shown us how to edit genes, recently we can say that the Nobel Prize for Chemistry was given to gene editing technology CRISPR-Cas9. So that's why it is talking about some kind of unique studies can be done on specific local legumes to understand the effect of global warming. Some important facts: these beans and legumes such as chana, chickpeas, they are called as plant meat, and ICRISAT, International Crop Research Institute for Semi-Arid Tropics, is located in Hyderabad. Fine. Yes, huge inflows continued into Telangana, Andhra Pradesh dams. So what are the important inputs from this article is that dams across the Krishna river, and basic information: Bhima is tributary of Krishna river. Bhima river also originate in Maharashtra, Krishna river also originate in Maharashtra. Okay. So yes, important dams like Almaty Dam, this is located in Karnataka. देन जुराला प्रोजेक्ट, यहाँ पे देख सकते हैं आप आर्टिकल में जो जो प्रोजेक्ट्स है जिनका नाम यहाँ पे दिया गया है. ओके, सो उनके लोकेशंस आपको पता होने चाहिए कहाँ कहाँ है. ओके, सो जुराला प्रोजेक्ट, इट इज इन तेलंगाना, एंड देन कम्स द confluence of Krishna river with Tungabhadra river here, and this river flows along the border between Telangana and Andhra Pradesh and sharing the waters by both states through this project, Srisailam projects, Nagarjuna Sagar projects and Polichintala project in, let's say, lastly we can talk about that. So these are the important let's say dams. Narayanpur dam is also there. So Almaty Dam, Narayanpur Dam, Jurala Dam, Srisailam projects dam or Nagarjuna Sagar Dam, these are the dams that are built across Krishna river. So we can expect such kind of prelims examination question: which of the following dam is not built across Krishna river? So yes, Jurala is there, Srisailam, Nagarjuna Sagar is there. Krishna Sagar nahi hai. Krishna Sagar is located across Kaveri river in Tamil Nadu. Okay. Yes, Odisha villagers create a river mouth. So villagers came together and pooled their resource, human, let's say, efforts as well as money, so as to create artificial mouth of the river, because the mouth of the river was blocked because of sediments, and that was creating problem to the villagers, especially fishing communities. Okay, so which was this river? This was Rushikulya river. Okay, inundated by the Rushikulya river. in Odisha's Ganjam district. Now, what is importance for our examination? You can take this as community effort case study also, but importance is that olive ridley turtles, Rushikulya river mouth here, this is important site of nesting site of this olive ridley turtles, along with Gahirmata beach and Robert Islands. सो दैट इज ऑलवेज इन न्यूज़, ये हम ध्यान रखेंगे जब भी न्यूज़ में रहता है. ऋषिकुल्य कोस्ट जो होता है, ऋषिकुल्य रिवर का जो माउथ है, वहाँ पे ऑलिव रिडले टर्टल्स का नेस्टिंग साइट है. जीरो राजधानी स्कर्ट्स गुवाहाटी कट्स ट्रैवल शॉर्ट. द इम्पॉर्टेंट फैक्ट फॉर अस इज बोगीबिल, इंडियाज लॉन्गेस्ट रेल रोड ब्रिज अक्रॉस द ब्रह्मपुत्रा रिवर. Okay, so this is important information. Second important basic general knowledge जिसको बोलते हैं हम, this is the train actually connecting the other side of Brahmaputra we can say bank, which is very much important for connectivity to Andhra Pradesh, Arunachal Pradesh especially. So yes, the train that is called as here zero राजधानी. जीरो राजधानी क्यों बोला जाता है? क्योंकि जीरो स्टार्ट हुआ है ट्रेन का नंबर, आप देख सकते हैं यहाँ पे. Technically not a Rajdhani whose train number starts with 2, while those of mail express train starts with 1. The zero makes it special train usually operated temporary. ठीक है, तो टेम्पररी ट्रेन्स होते हैं, स्पेशल ट्रेन होते हैं जिसका नंबर 0 से स्टार्ट होता है. राजधानी जो ट्रेन्स होती है उसका नंबर 2 से स्टार्ट होता है. नॉर्मल मेल और एक्सप्रेस ट्रेन्स होते हैं उनका नंबर 1 से स्टार्ट होता है, ट्रेन नंबर जो है. सो यस, दिस काइंड ऑफ क्वेश्चन. India's longest railroad bridge is constructed across or over which of the following river? So Brahmaputra river is the answer. Fine. So these were the important articles, issues from today's The Hindu newspaper. For further information on editorial discussion classes or ED classes, wherein in-depth analysis of all men's related articles is done by Ansari sir and team, you can contact Lukman IAS. Thank you.